and more happy Mother's Day to you. Assuming you're watching this video anywhere near Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day from Scott Conway at mothersraisingsons.com. And we're having our second in our 3-lesson set on Mother's Day. We talked about traditions. We told you a little bit about the tradition that I do, and that it can vary. I mean, so in our case, the tradition is Buca de Beppo and whatever's on the IMAX screen. And anything else we do kind of builds from there. So every kid buys a card. The kids have a gift card or something so that they can pay a portion of the lunch for mom. And then we go see a movie together. And so that is a good solid tradition that just stacks memory on top of memory on top of memory on top of memory. And so when I use the word like to anchor to something, is to have the emotions the strongly connected, and that's having the memory stacking on top of the memory where it's meaningful and it's powerful. Now, something else you're also doing with your son, besides giving him an opportunity to, celebrate you being his mom, is you're giving him something that can translate into his adult life year after year for you. We talked about that last time, but also something that can translate to a wife. So later on, when he's the dad, Mother's Day, especially when the kids are younger, and even when the kids are older, still falls to me. Mother's Day often falls to the husband to kind of put together on behalf of the kids. And this is something that can then translate to him for his wife. So when, his first baby is born, and, the sub 1-year-old on the very first Mother's Day isn't going to go shopping for a card and chocolates and flowers and whatever. And so that's going to be something that your son's going to do. And so what you're also doing in setting up Mother's Day traditions and having sort of these default plans, or even how to build meaningful traditions, how to craft experiences that will mean something for his wife, you're helping him learn that. And so in our particular case, you can imagine our sons are going to grow up, and they kind of will have this idea, okay, for Mother's Day, we need to craft some traditions, some things that we're going to consistently do for mom, that mom will like, that mom will appreciate. Now, you might not be the kind of mother that, likes, the meal in the movie. But that's something that my wife likes. Now, when our sons do it, well, they might marry someone who might not always like the meal in the movie, might not like what's always on the IMAX screen. She might like something different. And it might evolve, it might shift. But the sons have the idea that you want to have traditions that are meaningful to the mom. And being able to take this idea and translate it to the wife. Where maybe there's some special candies that are the traditional Mother's Day candies. That there might be like a level of chocolates you only get at Mother's Day, or only on special occasions, which might include like Valentine's Day, anniversary, Mother's Day, Christmas, birthdays. But they're like the special occasion candy, the special occasion treats, the special occasion restaurants, the special occasion events, the special occasion activities that you engage in. You might do something with upgrading like cards. So while the kids typically will buy the mom relatively inexpensive cards, that when my wife and I share cards, we get very expensive cards. Now we have what's called a French bulletin board. It's like the bulletin board with the crisscrossing ribbons on it, so you can tuck the cards in there. And so we buy each other very fancy cards. We have a company in our area called Papyrus, and they sell very expensive, very fancy cards. And other companies have also come out with expensive, fancy cards. Well, if I'm going to give my wife a $5 to $10 card, she's going to open it. Oh, how pretty. And then she says, honestly, that's kind of a waste. But for us, that goes up in this bulletin board. So it becomes part of our bedroom decor from that moment forward. And so we have just dozens, hundreds of cards tucked in these boards, and that we get to enjoy them for weeks, months, years after they've been given. And so for us, it's an investment, not just in just that moment, but in many, many moments to come afterwards. And this is something that our boys learn. It's not something they practice with their mother. They still get the inexpensive cards, but they get to see that modeled for them, and they understand that this is something that when you're with your wife, you can translate it to your wife. And so they're learning through Mother's Day, through watching what I do for their mother and what I've helped craft with them for their mother, and how to do Mother's Day, not just for their mom, but later on, how to do Mother's Day for the mother of their child. And and I would advise, even when she's pregnant, if she's pregnant on a Mother's Day, the baby's not born yet, you do Mother's Day because that baby's coming. And then the following year, when the baby's there, you do Mother's Day because the baby's there. And that you continue to follow up with that. and you craft a tradition that will have meaning. And it might be different for your wife than it was for your mom, and it very likely will be. But the idea of crafting a meaningful tradition, crafting that solid starting point that can, as your children get older, it can include them and that they get to participate. And even things like, what I've done with my boys, where I'll buy the gift cards and distribute the gift cards to them, so at the end of the meal, they get to buy mom the Mother's Day lunch. And so doing that then, our sons for their children, so that we get to watch our grandchildren do for their mom what we've gotten to see our children do for my wife. So this is Scott Conway from mothersraisingsons.com. God bless all the mothers out there. Have a great Mother's Day, and I appreciate what you're doing for your son. If you're watching these videos, if you're one of our member moms, then I know you are a quality woman who is seeking to be the absolute best for your son. So thank you very much for investing in that and for being here for your son with mothersraisingsons.com.